with a roar that sent the hapless chair swinging sideways in the darkness. Celia whimpered as her body fell against his, pushing him against the side of the chair. All around, the steel pylons of this, the so-called longest chairlift in the world, swayed and groaned. And then the wind dropped suddenly, just enough for the chair to right itself momentarily. But Celia clawed at the front of his ski jacket, begging him to do something, or not do something. He couldn't tell. "I'm going to raise the canopy!" he shouted. "We'll go together!" "No, wait!" But before she could say anything more, he raised the steel canopy against the onslaught. The blizzard slammed into him, ice pellets stinging his cheeks and forehead. He blinked away the freezing water seeping inside his goggles until finally he tore them from his head, his beanie going with them. As they fell away into the blackness, he hauled Celia towards him and dragged her, kicking, punching, and screaming onto his lap before pinning her against his torso with his arms. She went quiet, paralysed by fear and the inevitability of what was about to happen. He raised the safety bar and gritted his teeth, shifted onto the edge of the seat and pictured the rocky slope in his mind's eye. When the chair tipped forward, he launched their bodies as one into the blackness. And he prayed. Prayed Celia's body would break his fall. Chapter 1. July 2019. Day 1. Detective Sergeant Pierce Ryder strode into the meeting room on the first floor of the Queanbeyan Police Station. His newly appointed partner of 3 days, Detective Constable Mitchell Flowers, right behind him. They'd had a good run down the Hume Highway from Sydney, though the tension in the car had made the drive seem longer than it was. To Ryder's way of thinking, Flowers should have been a woman. Ryder knew of at least 3 female detective constables whose insight and intuition would have been an asset to Sydney's homicide squad. Unfortunately, the women had been placed elsewhere, so Ryder was now teamed with a millennial who ate activated charcoal gluten-free bread and whose main ambition was to become a police prosecutor. The decision still irked Ryder. Inside the meeting room, a group of local officers and detectives were standing close to the windows, drawn to the weak fingers of sunlight slanting through the glass. Flowers closed the door firmly behind him, and the buzz of conversation began to wane. Ryder took his place at the front of the room and waited, while the men of various age, size, and rank settled themselves into chairs. "Morning, everyone," he said as he placed his laptop on the front table. "This afternoon, Sarge." Ryder suppressed a sigh. That'd be right. The country cop sticking it to the city boys before he'd even started the briefing. Ryder looked up, ready to tick off whichever smartass was getting stuck into him, only to see the twinkling eyes of Detective David Benson. Ryder had first met Benson at the academy, and they'd been stationed in Newcastle together before Benson transferred down here. Ryder smiled. "Good to see you again, Benson," he said, checking his watch. "You're right. It is indeed past midday." Reaching for the laser pointer, he scanned the other faces, but only Benson's was familiar. "For those of you who don't know me, I'm Detective Sergeant Ryder from Sydney Homicide, and sitting behind you is my partner, Detective Constable Flowers." Ryder shot a look at Flowers while the men glanced over their shoulders. Homicide's latest recruit was slouching in his chair, looking unimpressed, despite the briefing being as much for his benefit as for the others. He was probably annoyed at having to leave the metropolitan area and his smashed avo breakfasts. Doubting he would ever share the same camaraderie he had had with his former partner, Macca, Ryder launched into their reason for being at Monaro Local Area Command. "Gavin Hutton." He clicked on the first slide, and a headshot of a man appeared on the pull-down screen. According to our sketch software, Hutton could look like this.